Hey everyone, this is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. Happy Monday, everybody. Today we are going to take a look at Venus moving into a trine with Uranus as she is also about to switch signs and pick up dignity. That is also taking place as Mercury, who is currently Venus's host. Venus is in Virgo, so that makes Mercury Venus's host, and Mercury is turning direct. So this is a really important little series of events that are connected with one another. We're going to take a look at them and give you a sense of what to watch for with these two transits coming up in the early part of this week. So that's our agenda for today. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe. We are trying to get to 70,000 subscribers on this channel. We're moving closer and closer every day. We've doubled our subscription total per month. Thanks to all of you who have been taking a moment to subscribe. If you watch the channel regularly and haven't yet done so, it really does help us grow, so we appreciate that. You can find transcripts of any of these daily talks on my website, nightlightastrology.com, where you have just today and tomorrow left on our pre-sale for the beginner's course. So if you go over to the website, click on courses, click on Astrology for Beginners, and scroll down, you will learn more about this new course. It is a recorded course. And a course that is for absolute total newcomers. This is a really good place to start if you're brand new to astrology. We'll be releasing it later in September. So this is the pre-sale. The normal price will be available after the pre-sale ends. You're saving about $50 off the course, which is a good deal. And it is 8 modules, all recorded. You can move at your own pace. And this will set you up to either just have a better understanding of the astrology that you're consuming and learning about, getting excited about, or it will set you up for our first year course, which also begins in November. And so if you haven't yet picked it up or taken a look, check it out on sale today, and tomorrow is the last day of the sale. So that is, mention that. And then what's my other thing? Here we go, live talk. So if you go to the events page, click on live talks. We just did the 8th house talk. You can still pick that up and grab the recording if you missed it. In September, we'll be doing a talk on Venus's love languages, understanding Venus through the 12 signs. There's a really deep understanding of the kinds of stories in love and relationships that Venus likes to tell in each sign of the zodiac. So watch for that next month. All right, that's it for announcements today. So we're going to get right into it. Let me put the real-time clock up here. Here we go. Share my screen. Alrighty. So the thing that I want everybody to pay attention to is this applying trine between Venus and Uranus. The second thing that I want everyone to pay attention to today is that Mercury, Venus's host, is about to turn direct. So if we speed this up, we're going to see that Venus connects in the trine with Uranus tomorrow, Tuesday, August 27th. And then immediately by Wednesday, Mercury is stationing. You see the little S under Mercury. And then by Thursday, Venus will enter Libra, where she is now in her rulership and out of the sign of her fall. And by that time, then by Friday, Mercury is fully moving in direct motion. So this is an interesting sequence of events, and I want to take a little time to unpack it here at the beginning of the week, since this is really what the week is offering us, or it's one of the strongest things that the week is offering us. We have a couple of other things that we'll be talking about. For example, by Thursday into or Wednesday into Thursday of this week, Venus will also oppose Neptune. That's a really interesting transit that will come right before Venus enters Libra. I'll be covering that later in the week. Once Venus enters Libra, she connects in a trine to Pluto. That is also another interesting transit that we'll take some time with. And then if we fast forward this just a little bit, by early next week, we have Mars squaring Neptune. I'll be covering a little bit of that, since horoscopes and our overview for September will take up time during that transit. So we'll be covering it in those talks, but I'll take a little time this week to cover the Mars-Neptune experience as well. And we already previewed Mars going into Cancer, which is also coming up in the beginning of September. That's a big transit because of how long it lasts. So just a little sense of what's coming beyond what we're talking about today. But for today, let's discuss Venus trining Uranus while Mercury is turning direct as Venus's ruler. Remember that Venus hit a square to Uranus at the end of Leo and then entered Virgo, her fall, where she met with Mercury, who was retrograding. This happened earlier in the month of August. Then Mercury, through its retrograde, backed into Leo, squared Uranus, went cazimi with the sun, and started the rebirth process as the morning star. Now, as the morning star, Mercury has been continuing to host Venus, which means that Venus in the sign of Virgo is tied to this Mercury retrograde. I think that's really interesting because it means that there's something very Venusian happening around this Mercury retrograde. Let me give you an example. So I noticed because my wife has this hitting a kind of more of a sensitive place in her chart that she suddenly got obsessed with decluttering. So she's been doing a bunch of decluttering around the house because, in her own words, it's just, it looks better and it feels better getting rid of things. Like that is a Venus opposite Saturn, by the way. So Venus, Venus in Virgo going through Virgo while ruler host Mercury is retrograde has meant for Venus a revision process. It has meant that she is part of the significations of Mercury retrograde. What I find really interesting is that this process is signaling a point of completion and a kind of transition to what comes next by virtue of what's happening this week. So Venus hits a trine to Uranus, a moment of breakthrough. Remember, before she entered Virgo and started this whole thing with Mercury retrograding, she hit the square to Uranus. Remember, back in April, Jupiter and Uranus in her home sign of Taurus conjoined. So we have had so much of this year has been about Venus and about Venus sort of leading the way. Now, right now, what we're seeing a process of revision that Venus has been front and center in completing itself. For example, time to time, I just have to, it's just so obvious. Like, look at a female political candidate taking office during a transitional period in the Democratic Party. That's a very basic, very obvious example. Wherever you land politically or not. But in our personal lives, Venus doesn't have to be a person. It could be a relationship. It could be the general expression of value or beauty, intimacy, sex, love. It could be about art or how you practice or connect with creativity. These are all Venusian things that could also be have been going through a process of revision, reorganization, a sort of delay or setback followed by an adjustment period. So when this week we see Venus hitting Uranus, it's a moment of release. It's a moment of liberation for Venus. It's a moment of snapping out of whatever heavier and more recalcitrant energies have been present in earthy Virgo, where Venus is debilitated. Because what happens right after Venus hits the trine to Uranus, she enters her own rulership and picks up a lot of dignity. It's just easier for Venus in the sign of Libra. It's not that Venus in Virgo is bad. It's that Venus in Virgo carries with it certain archetypal tensions that for Venus are challenging at times. The mental energies and the sensual energies. How do they work together? Classic question we've been thinking about for thousands of years as a human species. Think about it. It's like the rational intellect versus the sensual, feeling and desire body. They're very different. And so the tension held between the two, we've been thinking a lot about Venusian things. It's like a moment of Venusian analytical science or reflection and revision and reorganization and even breakdown and adjustment. And so as that's all been happening, we're now at this point where the process is complete. Mercury's turning direct, completing its process, bringing something forth into manifestation as the morning star. And he's doing so, Mercury is, on behalf of Venus. Venus hits the trine to Uranus, feeling free, enters her own domicile. We'll hit a little opposition to Neptune on the way out, too. We talk about that. But that Neptune, that aspect to Neptune is also very important because, like the trine to Uranus, it suggests a moment of liberation and of loosening and flowing, things that Venus in Virgo sometimes struggles with. So we're really seeing this last little degrees of Venus in Virgo as a really like a big letting go of the tensions and the drama that Venus has been carrying through Virgo during the Mercury retrograde. So to me, that's really exciting because it means that this week what we have to look forward to is a kind of a moment of breakthrough and a moment of kind of getting over a hump that we've been working, moving over. And I can also see this being a moment of greater freedom and originality and like letting go of inhibitions and getting back to something that feels more fluid and natural. It's like, after kind of a choppy experience for Venus over the month of August, now we're ready to flow again. I think the other thing that's worth mentioning here is that the fact that right away Venus will go into Libra, where the South Node is located, could also mean that this process of reflection and revision is now going to bring crystallized insights into certain key relationships and is going to assign new kinds of value or new kinds of designations or responsibilities or different kinds of functions to different people or different relationships in our lives. That this revision process would do that makes sense to me because as soon as we enter Libra, we're heading towards the South Node of the Moon in Libra, which levels the karmic scales in relationships somehow, or reflects some kind of crystallization of insight, wisdom, and a moment of completion, job well done. Now we're letting go of something, or now we are completing, or something's coming full circle. So, yeah, those are a few things that are on my mind. Let me go over, hold on just a second. Let me put the real-time clock back up on the screen. Here we go. So this week, what we're going to keep our eye on is the moment of the trine, which is really today and tomorrow, the 26th and the 27th. I want you to watch for Venus starting to free up or going through a process of liberation, of creative breakthrough. So anything and everything Venusian, women, friends, sisters, love, sex, relationships, art, creativity, beauty, our values. So this kind of freeing moment. And as that happens, Tuesday, it kind of finishes. Wednesday, we're now getting into the opposition with Neptune. Venus is going to flow right through that. It's a good pairing for Venus and Neptune. They really do work together pretty well. So I'm not too worried about that opposition. We'll talk more about that later. And then we can see Mercury turning direct. And that will be taking place Wednesday into Thursday. So it's like, you can see how intimately connected the two are. That's the point. The other thing that's worth mentioning is that signature of completion, right? When we say, Mercury's turned direct, Venus has completed her journey through Virgo, entering her own rulership, and we see maybe some suggestion of culminating insights or crystallized wisdom in relationships. Here's Venus and the South Node getting together, and that's happening under the new moon in Virgo. And that new moon in Virgo will also be reflecting a new moon cycle that's opposite Saturn and that continues carrying the tension of the Jupiter-Saturn square. We'll talk more about that when we get to the new moon. But it's really interesting to see the journey that Venus has gone on this year, being such a player from the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. So I anticipate that this moment will feel like we're finalizing some kind of transitional space that Venus has been in. And I think that's probably, that's really valuable to look at it that way. All right, well, I wanted to just paint a broad picture, leave it there for now. We'll be back tomorrow to talk more about the astrology of the week. I hope you're having a good day. Don't forget the sale on our beginners course is today and tomorrow, and then it's over. I hope you'll take advantage of that. And if you missed the 8th house talk, you can pick that up under the live talks page as well. We will see you again tomorrow. Bye.